Well, I am Ana Serrano Tellería, professor at the University of Castilla-La Mancha in Spain. And well, first of all, I would like to give thanks for all the organizers and all the audience involved in this interesting and enriching Congress, which give us the opportunity to share with our research with different colleagues. No? It's quite interesting, this virtual communication. Well, that said, I am a specialist in cross-multi-transmedia journalism and communication on the one side. On the other side, other areas of research involve art and visual and performative arts. So, well, after this brief introduction to my areas of research, which I consider quite important to let you know, well, I am a full professor at this journalism faculty, but also I am postdoc at different universities. No? One of them is the LabCom at Beira Interior University in Portugal. The other one is in DigiDoc Group at Pompeu Fabra University in Barcelona, and also at Carlos III University in Madrid. As well, I belong as a postdoc to Meios, which is a research group led by Pablo Bukowski and Eugenia Milchestein. It's an intersection between San Andres University and Northwestern University in US. Well, so you may appreciate that my areas of research involve both online communication and design, interfaces, mobile devices, and as said, art and visual and performative arts. Well, let's start now with the title of my conference, which is Interface Design and Transmedia. Why this intersection between these two areas? Well, it's quite important right now, as you know, in this liquid communication and this liquid environment involve everything, both from technology to the users' performative behaviors on and offline, the interface design of these platforms, applications, and everything involved in them. So that's what I would like to present to you. On the one hand, we want to start with why applying transmedia to journalism, the necessity to apply transmedia to journalism, and then we are going to deep into the interface, the relevance of the interface design in this liquid media environment, in this ecology. Well, if we reflect now about the main challenges about journalism, we're going to thinking about lack of credibility, forms, formats, interactivity, storytelling, to catch the attention of the user, the audience participation, the relevance to at different levels. No? The audience wants to feel part of this process. Also, we have to bear in mind the core values of journalism. We are talking maybe about a new state, a new paradigm about journalism and communication. Also, this balance between being in a global world, everything interrelated with lots of infinitive opportunities for us as users and journalists, and also this relevance of bearing in mind the importance of the local journalism. Why? Because it gives us this proximity, this values of being in touch with the fonts that many times are difficult to achieve. Also, the balance between the immediate and the slow journalism, no? When we would like to defend the core values of journalism, the relevance as well of data visualization, of video, pics, and so, and this impulse of the entrepreneurship as well as a core value of journalism. We are reflecting right now about what could journalism offer right now to society. These are the core challenges at the core values. Why we think or we defend the transmedia concept, transmedia strategies as an idealistic. Okay, we have to think about right now transmedia in journalism as an idealistic goal we would like to achieve. Why? Because as we could examine, there are very few examples of transmedia right now applying to journalism, a few samples, for many reasons. One of them could be the difficulty in the newsrooms, in the traditional newsrooms, to apply this kind of strategies and apply this kind of projects. it could be said that it's a question of money, but more than money, strictly money, let's say, no, or technological advances or resources, is more a question of time. But obviously time is also money, no? When we interview professionals, main difficulties, they point out these two core areas, no? The newsroom's way of being, no? This traditional way of thinking, more in broadcast than in transmedia, and on the other side, a question of time, of having enough time to develop this kind of projects. But that said, this does not do not mean that we do not have to think, no, or to reflect about the transmedia, because in the process of thinking about transmedia, we could achieve many interesting things. No, I'm going to participate in a quite enriching contribution with more than 56 researchers from all over the world. The title is Making Media. It's organized by Mark Dois and Mirjam Pregen at the University of Amsterdam. We will be published next year. And I'm going to focus on the media production. In this chapter, I interview more than 20 professionals and academics. And despite the difficulties implying of applying the transmedia to journalism, right now, they all agree in seeing a great potential. Even you do not achieve, or you could not achieve, to finish this transmedia project. Well, that said, we are going to delve into these characteristics of the transmedia, so you could appreciate these core values. No? When we think about lack of credibility, we're thinking about transmedia as differentiation, quality, originality of the content. That's a core value right now, because we have so many information on the net that we have to differentiate ourselves from what is all about. Also, we are talking about a different perspective, a different point of view, to go deep into the events, offer this transparency, credibility, and so. When we are thinking about different forms, formats, interactivity, and storytelling, why transmedia? Because transmedia offers this puzzle when all media are integrated. That's the main difference from cross-media or multimedia. Okay, in cross-media, the story or the content cross the different media at different stages, but that said, it's a unique piece that it's being transformed, it's being evaluated, but with the main idea of this cross path. When in multimedia, when we combine different forms and formats in a multimedia piece. But transmedia is other concept, because every single piece could be consumed alone. That's what we are talking about, this media integration as a puzzle. Well, to catch the attention of the user, why transmedia? Because in transmedia we have to adapt and to choose the best media for. The audience participation will be reflected in building a community, to help a community. We are hearing right now about this solution journalism that gives solution integrated in a community that hear to people and try to solve and take their opinions, but more than their opinions, the content, well, this solution journalism. Core values of journalism are represented by this idea of supporting the community, supporting the audience, and that's another core value of not also about transmedia, but also surround many entrepreneurship initiatives that are successful right now. I'm thinking about, for example, The Correspondent in the Netherlands. It's a very well known right now, and they are supporting themselves with all this community, believing in them. Another little one example could be El Farradio in Santander in the north of Spain. But El Farradio right now has achieved to start hiring two people. There are two journalists with a very long tradition as journalists, working in different areas, and right now there are 5. And well, all the content are free. You can access this content for free, but they are start growing, and because of the community that want to pay for them to help achieving these goals and these reportings and so, because the user could access the content for free. So it's just a question of believing in them. That's community, this sense of community, transparency. The user wants to feel part of the process and to support initiatives that they believe in. Well, and related to this global, local perspective, both relevant, this sense of belonging to a community. If we feel that the information we are receiving from our local media, we are feeling part of this community, and well, we can exercise democracy and a civic enrichment, civic participation. Related to this immediate slow journalism, well, what offers Transmedia, and let's start talking right now, because it's time to, about the interface design of these applications, platforms, and let's say about this interface design regarding all this liquid media ecology. Well, the relevance to offer the user different readings, different stages, different slides. That's quite relevant, because it's not that Twitter is not good for one thing. Yeah, Twitter is really relevant, for example, for this quick information, for these links between different reactions. But obviously, if we would like to go deep into a topic, we could offer maybe a documentary, if we have enough time, or if not, just a piece of an interview complemented with some kind of documents, written documents or links to whatever. So it's quite relevant, the interface design, so the user could access the information at different stages, at different moments, no? And not also regarding this timeless time, Castell's timeless time, where everybody consumes the information when they want, but also regarding the different devices, because as we know, even we are used to the small screen of a mobile phone and consuming each time more video on the mobile phone. That's a question, an obvious answer, that for some kind of content we prefer maybe our TV or our laptop, more relaxing at home, while when we are on the bus we consume another kind of information, and maybe for an interaction we prefer as well the mobile phone, but for other kind of interactions we prefer this maybe the iPad or our laptop. And regarding the entrepreneurship initiatives, well, once again, this feel part of a community that people want to invest, to help, and so this is the crowdsourcing feeling, and also little contributions as the user may do. Well, that's these main areas, which I will add authenticity. Users value a lot the authenticity of everybody on the net. The transparency, sense of a community, feeling part of something that is growing, giving solutions, help. So it's this global, local interrelation and perspective, highlighting, as I may say, as a core value of journalism, returning to the basic grounds of journalism, which is the information giving with credibility, with transparency, with all the fonts, and local journalism has a great potential on that. Now we're gonna give a next step relating this transmedia communication and journalism also with the mobile devices. All the time we are thinking about as well about the interface design, as I'm gonna start some minutes before. Well, this need of differentiation, the quality, the originality of our content, in the mobile devices is even more regarding the interface design, this ability to personalization of the information. Well, regarding this media integration as a puzzle, the strict relation between the emotion and the interface design in mobile devices. Well, Let's make a little break right now. It was Willem Flusser in 1980, which started describing these technologies as very related to our nervous system. This is quite good on the one hand, because as we have published with other colleagues, with other Portuguese colleagues, well, the mobile devices help us to be in a communication portal. Our article was called Human Being as a Communication Portal. Well, this mobile device gives us the opportunity to be a full portal to the world, to communicate every aspect. But as being related with very straight with our emotion, has a counterpart, no? Which is that even sometimes we think that we do not have to make some kind of actions on the net, no? Rationality give us, no, don't do that, or don't allow these terms and conditions because they are confused, or wait to give this comment. Our emotion is stronger than that. So sometimes we recognize that we do some kind of actions on the net, and especially with mobile devices, then after we think, oh, I do not have to do that, no? But well, let's take this positive side, which is all the possibilities that give us for communication and for interrelation, which on the counterpart, on the negative side, the relevance of the interface design of these devices to help users to manage the privacy, to manage the content, and so on. No? That's the reason for us as well, 5 years ago in a Congress, to propose an ethics code for the interface design, not also basis on legal basis, but also an ethics code. No? And recently we have heard about these expertise as Google and Facebook and so, that they have quit up, no, their enterprises, and they recognize that the interface design of these platforms is especially studied for, you know, from psychologists, neurologists, and so the user gets into this circle of providing data, providing likes, providing everything, no? So in this running of consuming and not from a rational point of view, no, make a conscious behavior on that. Well, regarding to adapt and to choose the best media, no? Thinking about transmedia, we have the relevance of the information architecture. It is quite important that we organize all the pieces correctly, because if not, the user will get lost in so many informations there are on the net. Well, years ago I remember that from the field of journalism it was not quite valued, no? The relevance of design, but right now I am happy about it, and I see many events in Europe making the interrelation between design and journalism, and the relevance for journalism and for communication from an overall perspective of giving a good design and a good interface design related as well with information architecture. It's quite important that we provide the user with a very clear menu, with a very clear navigation, as well with usability, so the user could consume this information at the different rhythms, different slides, different pieces of information that the transmedia or even the multimedia or cross-media as well provide to the user. Building a community, to help building a community, it has a lot to do with this concept of the human being as a communication portal, because we have the opportunity, not only as professionals, but the user in general, to provide so many information, interactions. Maybe we are on the road, no, on this civic journalism, and we see a robbery, we see some kind of thing to alert, and we do it with our mobile with a quick pick. And integrate all this volume of information and interrelations is fundamental in this new media ecology. Well, supporting a community, as we have previously mentioned, the access and the usability, the immediacy, the trust. Because if we provide the information very well organized, we are also helping the user to participate and to make a more conscious consume. Well, regarding the different media readings and the info stages, well, the smaller screens and more screens adapt to the different screens. A deep contextualization of the information has to be with this management of the different readings and feel part of a community and to invest, well, the liquid spheres of the constellations. That's our hypothesis regarding these mobile devices and privacy. Well, in the Amsterdam Privacy Conference, I was very happy to test my hypothesis about these liquid spheres or constellation of spheres, because the researchers I've never met, they describe as bubbles. Well, bubbles have a lot to do with this liquid sphere constellation. What does it mean? Very quick, because we are running out of time and we have to focus on other topics. But let's introduce a bit. And please feel free to ask me afterwards or write me to go into deep. Well, we are constantly managing the different spheres, traditional spheres, the private and intimate, personal, well, this traditional, bearing in mind that the concept of privacy has been changed and evaluated for many years. It's not something new. But right now, in this liquid media environment, we are dealing with these liquid spheres or constellations of spheres. Why? Because the same situation could be considered public or private, intimate or personal, depending on the context. The relevance of context was already introduced by Helen Nissenbaum. And at the same situation, if the context changes or some kind of interaction changes, this sphere will transform itself into public, private, intimate, and personal. That's the reason to talking about these liquid spheres that are constantly changing, and also about a constellation of spheres, because at the same time we could have different type of spheres with different type of people and different type of content. So the parameters and the strategies are a lot, and even more with the difficulty of being in a liquid environment. Well, let's finish delving a bit more about the relevance of the interface design, and also talking a bit about the design thinking method to apply to communication and to apply to this kind of environments to make an enriching research. Well, personalization lead us to these both affective and rational considerations we have to bear in mind. We have already talked about the strength relation between emotion and interface design, which is related to this media as artifacts, activities, and arrangements, introduced by Mark Doyce in Media Life. And we add regarding more with the information architecture about the user behavior between actions and affordances, animations and performances. That's our contributions to go more deep into this concept. Well, regarding the human being as a communication portal, we have to bear in mind these affective, paradoxical and spontaneous features of these emerging initiatives. Access and usability, the immediacy, the trust, mobility, ubiquity, small screens, more stages and slides, information architecture, and this management of the different rhythms with this hypothesis of the liquid spheres and constellations. Well, we have why applying this design thinking, because when we are creating a content, well, mainly focus on transmedia, but we could talk as well about cross and multimedia. With the design thinking method, we create a prototype, we test it, and we return. It's very simplifying the process, but we are in an ongoing and constantly changing process of check and test that includes the audience in this process, with a core value of transmedia journalism, and it's a core value as well for the necessities and challenges of journalism. So, as we could appreciate, interface design is a basic ability, is a basic strategy to bear in mind if we have to deal with this liquid and enriching as well media ecology and liquid technological environment. So, well, very quick, we have passed through all these concepts. I will be more than welcome I will be more than welcome for receiving your comments, critics, outputs, whatever. Please feel free to write me, or we could make an Skype, or whatever you feel free to, and keep on going with this discussion. Well, I have provided right now you this main bibliography I have recently published regarding of these topics. So if you feel to ask me for them, please feel free. And well, once again, thanks a lot for your attention. Thanks a lot for the opportunity to share with you my research. Let's say that we have a great potential on this new liquid environment and media ecology, but as more are the positive sides and potentialities, we have to bear in mind also that the counterparts, not also regarding privacy, but regarding the difficulty to manage this liquid environment with the timeless time and no space, is quite relevant, the interface design with a good information architecture and with a good organization of the content, so we could provide this implicit and explicit interactivity for our users that's fundamental in these times. Once again, thanks a lot and looking forward to hearing from you. Bye.